We have more news and updates on the Corey Perry situation. He's officially cleared waivers, so what comes next for the forward and the team? And plus, we have new information suggesting what may have happened, or at least a little bit of details, which we'll discuss coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have news from the NHL waiver wire. No huge surprise here, but Corey Perry of the Chicago Blackhawks has officially cleared the unconditional waivers that he was placed on yesterday for the purpose of contract termination. So the Chicago Blackhawks, of course, will officially have terminated Perry's contract, and it'll be voided, taken off their salary cap, will not count. He will no longer be paid, etc. So he is no longer a member of the Blackhawks now that that's officially taken place. So, of course, we talked about this yesterday, that they were going to do this. Now it's officially done. So what's next is the big question, and have we learned any additional details that may kind of give us some insight as to what might have transpired here? Well, first of all, Corey Perry becomes an unrestricted free agent. He theoretically can sign with any other NHL team. Now, I don't know how quickly he's going to want to do that, and we have no idea how NHL teams feel about this and what they know and don't know, and what the likelihood is that it's going to happen. But in theory, it could technically happen anytime. Where he goes, if he plays again, time will tell. We really have no way to predict that. But I do know that based on what Frank Saravalli was reporting just this afternoon, and his latest, it's on dailyfaceoff.com. I'll show you a snippet of his article and link it in the pinned comment if you want to read through it yourself. Frank Saravalli says that according to sources, he knows a little bit about what happened, but not the full detail. So essentially, the night before Corey Perry was pulled from the lineup, the team, the Blackhawks, were in Nashville to play the Predators, and the team had some sort of corporate event, and that Perry there was an incident at this event which is believed to have been kind of alcohol-induced, if you will. So essentially what Saravalli is telling us is that, an alcohol-induced Corey Perry was at this corporate event and an incident of some sort happened. That's why the team has made it pretty clear here that this does not involve any other players or the players' families. So there is obviously something that happened with another employee of the team in some role we don't know, and we don't really need to know. Obviously, the parts that make this a little bit confusing for some is that obviously it appears as though, and I'm just going to say it appears because we don't know the details, that whatever has happened is not necessarily a legal implication because there's no police involvement. The NHL has not announced that Corey Perry has been suspended. So we've seen suspensions for off-ice behavior in conduct in other situations. Like we got the Shane Pinto 41-game ban which we don't know full details on either, but the gambling-related issue that transpired not too long ago at the beginning of this year's NHL season. We've seen Evander Kane go through this type of situation where he was ultimately terminated by the San Jose Sharks. We saw the Los Angeles Kings terminate the contract of Mike Richards. Now, when that situation happened with the Kings and Richards, I believe his situation was that he was going through the Canada-U.S. border and was caught with drugs. And he was actually able to appeal that termination, or I guess place a grievance through the NHLPA. And he technically did win. They were forced to have to settle with him. Evander Kane, when he was terminated with the Sharks, I'm sure most of you know that whole drama story. Again, they ended up going through and filing a grievance, and they had to come to a settlement. I know last summer, or before he re-signed with the Oilers, there was a lot of talk on like how is this going to be handled. If they reinstate his contract, will he have to go back to the Sharks because he'd already played a season or part of the season with the Oilers? And of course, that's not going to happen. They're not going to reinstate him and make him go back to his old team where everything happened. But at the end of the day, it's more of a financial issue, right? Because players can get new contracts. They can go to new teams. They can resume their careers elsewhere. They probably don't want to be part of that old team anyway after everything that's transpired. But they also don't want to lose money that they're banking on being paid. At the end of the day, in this situation with Corey Perry, he has a $4 million contract. I believe there was a signing bonus and the rest of it's salary. I think it's $2 million, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check cap friendly. But I believe it's $2 million bonus and then $2 million salary. So the bonus would have been paid already, and the salary would have been paid about a quarter of it since we're at a quarter way through the NHL season. So if you take $2 million, divide that into quarters, that gives you $500,000. So there's probably somewhere around $1.5 million owing on that contract that he's not going to get unless he files a grievance and wins, which we don't know. Now, the NHLPA is reviewing the situation. We do know that. They have not announced if they're going to file a grievance or not, but they have 60 days from the time of the termination to file that grievance. So we will find out sometime in that 60-day window whether or not they're going to proceed with a grievance or not. I would suspect that if they do file a grievance, there's a much more likelihood that that information is going to come out. I know I've seen on Montreal media, Georges Larac, a former NHL player who often appears on the Tony Marinara podcast. He was talking to Tony, and he said that he knows what happened. And he said a lot of NHL reporters and insiders also know the full story of what happened, but nobody wants to put it out there due to risk of being sued because of privacy laws, because it involves other members of the organization or like another employee of some sort. And obviously the Blackhawks, because of it being like an internal in-house issue, like a workplace issue is what Kyle Davidson called it, they don't want to run into any risk of being sued due to privacy. So a lot of people seem to know what went on, and nobody wants to talk about it because of that risk. And I totally can appreciate that. Nobody wants to be sued. So like the little bit of tidbits that Frank Saravalli gave us today, that the incident happened at a corporate event in Nashville, that's about as far as we're going to go. It appears alcohol is involved. That could be speculation. I don't know. But if you, like I said, if you think about what it could be, it just, like, will Corey Perry play in the NHL again? I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't appear like he's facing legal charges. It doesn't appear like he's facing an NHL suspension. It's just a case where another NHL team will, expect him to maybe show that he's learned from it and get another chance. I really don't know. I do know that on the ice, he's been an effective player still this late in his career. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know your thoughts. What comes next? Will Perry be back? Will the NHLPA file a grievance? Could Perry end up getting some of this money back? I mean, obviously the team made this decision. They notified the NHL of what happened and their intent. But at the same time, I don't think the NHL can technically stop them from doing it. So we'll see what comes next. Could be Perry going to another club. It could be Perry's career over. It could be a grievance filed, but I don't think we've heard the last of it just yet. But for today, he's officially terminated, no longer a member of the Chicago Blackhawks, and we learned a little bit more tidbit about what may have transpired. So let me know your thoughts on the situation down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. It's your place to get all your updates on all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.